podcast didn't start yet, did it? I think it may have. It says it's going. There we go. Thank you, Cynical. Appreciate that. Very good. Okay, hopefully we're actually doing good now, because for whatever reason it wasn't working before, and now it seems to maybe... I'm going to go ping the... Well, actually, I'm going to wait to join the session, and then I'll ping the new stream. What the fuck? There it is. Goodness me. That was scary. Scary. Goodness gravy, man. Much slower today for whatever reason. Thank you, Slayer Eyes. Appreciate the new invite. Okay, looks as if we've got almost everybody here, which is going to be great. I think I've got everything set up here, hopefully. We've got 16 on track. I think we had 19 check in, but I do know that at least somebody isn't going to be back. I don't quite know who it is or what, but hey, 16 is a good level. That is a good amount of drivers for a race here. Hopefully, we're going to be ready to go here quite shortly. Voice chat suspended. Thank you very much. 17 in. Very good, very good. Hopefully we're going to get ready to go here shortly. Just a couple of guys yet to join in. We should have 19 on the grid. I think somebody may have backed out, so we're at 18 now, but that is still a good enough to me. It looks as if, yeah, at least one more might be joining here, and I think that's who it is. Who are we missing here? What teams are we missing? Perhaps an Aston Martin? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yep. Just the one Aston Martin that we're missing tonight, and, well, somebody's now spectating with me, which doesn't make any sense. I don't know who Jacob LK14 is. Yeah, there we go, thank you. He's the host, I know that, which is odd. Don't actually know who that is. Jeezy, that's a great name. Let's see. Let's just run through our competitors here tonight. I always like to... This is another thing I like to do. I always like to make sure I have everybody's names pronounced correctly. So, Zach, Cynical, DB the Best. I have no idea what that is. Can I get that in better... Vaybe? Viabi? That doesn't sound right, that one. Who is this? Who is this guy? I don't know who this is. I've never seen him before, so I'm gonna botch this until he yells at me to get it correctly. That part is for sure. The Canadian of Vaybe. Vaybe? No, that's not correct. Anyways, GZ, Mackie, Gab, Anime Boy, Gonzalez, Funky Breezy. That's going to be a fun one. Flat, Reimer, Slayer Eyes, George Mazdaguy, Gazboy, King Julian, Mort, Caesar, Jacob, and myself, naturally. Mort, I can no longer move it. King Julian! I'm going to have too much fun with that. Wait until somebody comes in with a name like Big Smoke, and then... All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ! Oh, CJ, my dog! Sorry, I know I've just cursed your earphones with that, but, DJ E flat. That's actually kind of a sick producer tag, that I'm not gonna lie. Let me make sure we have the schedule up here as well. I'd like that. About ready to go here, ladies and gentlemen. Round 1 of the new season. Boy, am I excited for this. Looks like we got a couple of guys readied up here. Wow, I've got a whole 8 guys watching. Wow, this is great. This is the most viewers I think I've had on the live stream probably ever. You demand. Yeah, well, I tell you what, very glad to be back here. I'm glad that we've got drivers. And, you know, I will say this. Not many leagues I can commentate on can get even 18. So this is a great night here. I very, very happy to be back here. And it looks like we've got our final bloke joining us here. It's going to be Macho. Oh, I like that. Oh, yeah, Macho Man. Got a good-looking season coming up here as well, I gotta be honest. The schedule looks, I'll tell you what, not bad at all. A lot of good tracks on here, I tell you what. That stretch there of Belgium, Mexico, and France is gonna be something, because those are 3 quite calamitous tracks there. But I am so ready. This is gonna be great. Hopefully we get going here shortly. Ready up from Slayerized? Oh boy, I tell you what, it's been a while since I've been in the booth here for a Monkey Mafia League race, but I am so ready to be here, man. 30 seconds. I'll start the hard recording shortly, and then we'll get to the... We'll get going. We'll get going. Appreciate y'all for joining us here. Yeah, let's make sure that's not getting feedback on the microphone. Oh boy, everything's breaking. Here we go. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first round of this new Monkey Mafia eSports season. We're here at the Hungaroring in the town called Magyarország, just 25 kilometers north, I believe, northeast of Budapest here in Hungary for the first round of the season. MMR hotspot on the call for you. It's been a while since I've been here. I think towards the midway part of Season 1, the attendance was not as good, but we have ourselves 19 drivers on the grid tonight for what should be a very fun race, and I'm so glad to be back here. I felt kind of scummy not showing up for the back half of the season, but at the same time, you know, we was looking at like 10 drivers a race, but here we are, and we're back, and we've got ourselves an almost full grid. I think every seat at least is filled, and that is super good. Here at Hungary tonight, I would say one of the more difficult tracks that these drivers will face this season. Not the most difficult, as we're going to get into the schedule here in just a moment. Whilst I'll pull up the schedule now. Let's just make sure what our weather is going to look like this evening. And, oh, perfectly dry. Good. So, your season, the second edition here of the Monkey Mafia eSports Series, this week in Hungary to start things off. Next week, we head to the Suzuka International Racing Course in Japan, 2 of the hardest tracks back-to-back on the schedule here to start. Brazil for round 3 on the 18th. Miami after that. That'll be a fun one. Imola round 5, and Baku round 6. Goodness me! I tell you what, this season already. I mean, we're gonna see a lot of stuff going on here. That's for sure. Qatar round 7, Vegas round 8. That's gonna be a fun one. Netherlands and China round 9 and 10. Canada round 11, Spa round 12, Mexico 13, France 14, and Great Britain round things off for the 15th round of the season. Goodness me, this is going to be a very exciting campaign that these drivers are going to be going into here. Looks like our first driver on track is going to be the Williams of Gazboy. as he makes his way down the second and pretty much only other DRS straight on this course. There's only the one other. That's going down the pit straight. So it's a very interesting kind of complex here. You have the DRS detection zone coming at it, going in towards turn 14, the final corner, down the pit straight, exiting the first corner as well. It's only the one detection zone, so you do get the double dosage of DRS if you are so lucky. And I'm thinking that's going to come in handy tonight. We'll have to wait and see. It will be that of Gazboy first out. Next up behind him, Funky Breezy in the Alfa Romeo, making his way into the 6 and 7 chicane now. We'll go along for the track guide here once Gazboy makes his way around, but very, very happy to be back along with you in the comms box for this season. Have to wait and see. Gazboy making his way into turn 12 here shortly. Final couple of corners here. This is a fun third sector, has to be said. A lot of people crap on these final couple of corners here. I really like them. I think they're, I don't want to say NASCAR-X corners, but that's pretty much what they are. Well, here's Gazboy making his way through turn 14, exiting the final corner, DRS activated, and down the pit straight he goes in towards the very tight downhill corner of turn 1, the Valtteri Bottas bowling alley, as I refer to it often, into turn 1. Got to be careful of exit. The track limits on the outside creeps up on you quickly, and so does the oversteer as well. Down the straight in towards turn 2, winding downhill, left-handed corner into the short, sharp right of turn 3. Up the hill now in towards turn 4. This one is going to be a mess. A lot of track limits penalties here. Carnage if you go side by side. He's done well. Up into turn 5. Definitely avoid the apex curve as much as you can. That'll send you for a spin. Into the worst chicane in Formula 1. Turn 6 and 7. It's so unnecessary for it to be here. It's right up there with the Neuville chicane and the one we had in Barcelona. Turns 8 and 9 coming up here, and then into the fast left-hander at turn 10, and into the fast right-hander then of turn 11. I tell you what, a lot of times we see cars go side by side out of that. Down the hill in towards turn 12. Last of the heaviest braking zones on track, and then in towards the left-hander at turn 13. A little bit of camber. You can sometimes find a line on the outside as well as on the inside there. In through turn 14 now. Got to be careful of track limits on exit and oversteer as well. And it looks as if Gazboy has just a really good lap going here. He's going to cross the line. A 1:17 flat. Very solid attempt for the Williams on the first lap of the session here. Funky Breezy, who I believe may have invalidated that previous time. He's been done in by Jacob here, 1:16.907. That's a good attempt in his own right. Did Funky Breezy invalidate his previous lap? He must have, because he does not have a time on the board, and he's back to going here. So that's what I'm going to assume. Vaby, now I'm going to listen, I'm going to say this again right now. I do take pride in how well I do my craft. If I pronounce your name wrong, please yell at me. Vaby, I think. I don't know how else to pronounce this, but he's gone first in the Aston Martin. Very good, 1:16.826. Has been immediately outdone by DB to Best, 1:16 and a half there, as beat the Aston Martin by over 0.3 of a second. That is a great lap from DB to Best here. Next up to the line, I believe, is the Williams of Cynical. He's gone P4, 1:16.908. The Mercedes of, it's not Caesar, it's his teammate of Jeezy. Up next, he's gone P5, the Red Bull behind him. It's Macho starting his timed lap. And after the first little stint of runs there, I tell you what, it's a relatively competitive top 6 here already. That's 0.6 of a second separating them, only 6/1000ths separating Jeezy and Gazboy, only 1/1000th between Cynical and Jacob. What a go that is. Funky Breezy's gone P7 there, 1:17.570. Not bad. He'll need to improve. What was that, the Haas there? Mackie has gone P1. I'm just curious on what's happened with the Haas here of Slayerized. That car is, well, he's definitely hit those barriers a ton. As you can see, they oh, goodness me, get out of the way of the AlphaTauri. You can see the tire barriers have moved there. That car has gone to the outside, exiting turn 13, and I'm hoping that Slayerized didn't get in the way of the AlphaTauri of Anime Boy, who's come across the line. He's gone P10. He definitely looked close. DB the Best has retired. That is on track, and that is going through turn 14. Can we go along with either of these drivers here? Perhaps one of the Williams? No, Cynical's on his way in, and that car was off to the outside over there. Was that of DB the Best, and that was a halfway decent time there. And triple four is beat Macho by 2.5 tenths of a second there. That 116 is not going to be enough for DB the Best. I expect him to be sliding down the order here. Initially, it looked a very good lap, but Mackie has blown it out of the water, telling me we've got some quick drivers on the grid, and that one may not hold water. So the line next up, I believe, was one of the Alpines. It is that of Reimer making his way down the hill in towards turn 1. Reimer, a very talented driver in his own right. We haven't seen a lot of him in both Midwest or Monkey Mafia, but I can tell you this, every league I commentate on, him on, he is one of the very talented drivers on the grid, so we'll have to wait and see what he can do here as he exits turn 3 now, looking very good. He'll go up the hill towards turn 4. This is where I expect the most of mistakes to be made here. It's a very fast uphill, off-camber, left-handed corner, and, well, he's handled it very good. Exiting turn 5 into the 6 and 7 chicane now. Oh, I think he's gone a little bit deep into the first corner, into turn 6 there. He's held it okay, but it looked as if maybe he was a little late under braking there. Turn 10 now in towards turn 11. He'll stay through 6th gear. Purple sector 2 for him in towards turn 12 here. 13 coming up. Does he take a wider line? No, he is right up against the apex there. Sometimes you'll see drivers take the wider line around, try to carry more speed on exit, and that's not the case. Reimer is holding that car right up against the barriers, and across the line goes Reimer. He'll go P5, 1:16.613. That's a good time from him, enough to put him P5 at the moment. Next up is one of the Alfa Romeo drivers. I believe it is that of Funky Breezy, who, to the line he goes, is he starting one now? Yes, he is. The Alfa Romeo Funky Breezy making his way into turn 1. We do also have the Haas of Flat, I believe. Maybe is he just finished one here, or is he starting one now? I'm not entirely sure, but he is P6 at the moment. About a clean 10th off of Reimer for 5th place, as now we have one of the Mercedes drivers off exiting turn 3. And I believe he's just getting out of the way there. Funky Breezy now making his way up the hill in towards turn 4. He's slower by about 0.2 of a second through the first sector at the moment. That will tell me that that car is not necessarily set up for the straight line, and I think, well, I may have been correct there, but a little bit too much that time, and that car had a big wiggle coming out of turn 5, and that's probably going to be the end of his timed attempt. We do now have the McLaren of Zach making his way into the first corner. A little bit wide on exits, but it'll do. I believe the Haas of Slayer Eyes starting one now as well. We'll check back with him in a minute. Now, it has to be said, I'm going to turn the telemetry off so you can see this. I'm thinking here Zach is, this used to be a very common thing, not so much anymore. I'm thinking Zach might be a controller driver. You can see his steering inputs are very jagged, as opposed to the smooth transitions we'll see with steering wheel drivers. This doesn't appear to be the case. If you saw him going down the straight, little slight inputs there, which you'll see the many kind of slight movements on the steering wheel in the bottom of your screen. I'm kind of thinking, yeah, I think he's of the controller sort, this. It used to be so easy to tell, not quite anymore. This game, I will say, has made being on gamepad very much more accommodating. It's accommodated gamepads much more than the games used to. Although I will say I had some of my best races on gamepad. Zach's gone wide out of the final corner. He'll cross the line P14. But I tell you what, we'll have to wait and see if he can do better. There's a couple of mistakes on that lap. I'm looking forward to see if he can put together a better one here. Next up, the Haas of Slayer Eyes. He's gone P7. 15 1,000ths behind his teammate of DJ Flat. For the 6th spot, we do have Mackie on an outlap here. We've got Macho sitting 2nd, I believe. Is Macho on a flyer now? He might just be. Yes, he is. So Macho on a flyer, 10th and a half quicker through Sector 1. Purple Sector 1 at that. 7 minutes 45 remaining here. Mackie on an outlap. Caesar on an outlap here, as well as Baby, Anime Boy, and P. Gonzalez. Through the 6 and 7 chicane now. He's done pretty okay. A lot of the grass on exit, though. That may have hurt his time. Exiting turn 9, here's turn 10. And the right-hander of turn 11. Actually stayed on throttle quite a lot. 2.5 tenths quicker through Sector 2. This is looking a great lap here. At the moment, this will be enough for pole if he could just nail these final couple of corners. Bit deep into the braking zone at 13, but he's carried a lot of speed on exit into turn 14 now. He'll hold this one next to the barrier on the inside. You got to be careful of that pit lane barrier. That thing is quite jagged, and it will hurt you if you take it wrong. Macho, 1:15.302. That is enough for provisional pole as Mackie making his way through turn 1 now. A little bit of correction there going through turn 1. Macho has Mackie for the time being by about a tenth and a half here. A 15.3 is an incredible time around the circuit as Mackie making his way through turn 3 now. He'll go up the hill into 4 shortly. He's actually slower by about 5/100ths here, which again is telling me that this car is more set up for the slow speed corners, and that's the part of the track we're getting to here. The 6 and 7 chicane, he's done well. Oh, and he's held exit so brilliantly there. Not a flaw to be had. Through turn 9, coming up to turn 10 here. This car just looks absolutely on rails. He exits the corner. Oh, and he's invalidated there. Yep, he was quicker by a tenth and a half as well. That would have got him pole. And unfortunately for Mackie, he has invalidated coming out of turn 11 there. Pushing that car to the limit, but thankfully for him, he has plenty of time here left to get himself in a position to put together one more time to 10th. As a matter of fact, he's actually going to stay out on track, which is odd. Well, it would have been a good 1:14.829 had it not been for the invalidation there. Great lap. I'm afraid it doesn't count for very much, but what an attempt that was. Caesar's invalidated his as well, and I'm curious to see where that's happened. He's got a little bit of specks on the right front tire, which I'm assuming means he's gone into the grass somewhere. Could he have gone wide exiting turn 9? That very much could be the case. Reimer on a timed lap here, making his way into turn 3, uses a lot of the apex curb there. See, that one won't spin you as the one through turn 5 will. Up the hill now, quicker through sector 1. Oh, he's slower. Slower by 3 seconds as well. That is a curious sight to see there. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Across the line was the Mercedes of Caesar. I believe he may find this to be his timed lap here. He did invalidate his previous attempt. Down the second DRS section now in towards turn 2. Keeps a little bit wider of the curb than what we saw Reimer just do, but exits turn 3 up the hill towards turn 4. At the sector 1 timing mark, he is faster by about 0.2 of a second. This will solidify that second row for him at the moment. He's only 4/100ths better than Gazboy for this third spot in question. Through turn 6 and 7, looks absolutely clean there. Turn 8 coming up here. Turn 9 holds exit pretty well. Turn 10 now, the fast left-hander. No downshift through turn 11. Nearly 0.4 quicker through sector 2. This is looking to be a very impressive lap here from Caesar. 4 minutes remaining. Exits turn 13 into turn 14 now. Takes a bit of a wider entry that'll allow him to slingshot a little bit more speed on exit. DRS activated, and across the line he goes. It's a 1:15.614, improves by 0.6 of a second, about 0.3 short still of that of Macho, but what a lap it was from the Red Bull. And I tell you what, this battle for pole is going to absolutely come down to the wire here, and if Caesar is able to get one more time on the board, he could very well have an attempt. Although I think he might be running out of time here. There's 4 minutes or less to go. I think, as we have, what is that? Is that the AlphaTauri off there? Is that Anime Boy through turn 9 there? He's well into the grass. I think perhaps just getting out of the way for somebody there. That could very well be the case. Well, I tell you what, I guess I was wrong about DB the Best. I thought that 1:16 was not going to be enough. As it turns out, he is still on the third row, despite having retired very early on in the session. Matter of fact, that was his only attempt to have. Was his current 1:16. A lot of drivers in the pit lane now. I'm assuming we're going to get our next string of final timed lap attempts to come here. Macho's going to be one of those drivers making his way up through turn 4 now. We're going to have the McLaren of, it's going to be Zach, making his way into the first corner now. See, there you go. Those are the jagged movements that we're talking about. Not necessarily flowing with the track, you know, adjusting. Not so much turning. Exits turn 3. Still looking a not bad lap so far. Not many mistakes to be had. Up the hill, he is slower, however, by 5/100ths. Up through turn 5 now. What I will say, for being on controller, this guy has actually got this car relatively on rails. Bit of an early braking zone entry in towards the 6-7 chicane. Bit of correction on the way out. I believe we do have the Ferrari of Gab has just gone P14. King Julian in the Alfa Romeo, the only driver yet to put together a timed attempt. Zach is currently 0.3 slower through Sector 3. Next up, we did just have, I believe we are going to have the Red Bull of Macho. 90 seconds remaining to the session. If you haven't watched any of the time lapse carefully, this is the one to look out for here. A 10th to the better of Mackie for provisional pole. 1:25 to go, and this is his final attempt of the session. Down the straight, in towards the first corner. He does have a hefty amount of traffic ahead of him. It is quite dispersed. But as these drivers are looking to get onto their final laps here, they're not really going to be getting out of the way until they absolutely have to, and there's still a lot of drivers on track ahead. Macho in through turn 2 now, does well, holds exit nicely, takes a lot of turn 3, nearly into the grass there. He's going to go up the hill into turn 4 now. How much quicker is he? About a 10th. Not bad at all. Exits turn 4. That was one of the better takings of turn 4 I've seen so far. Through turn 5, a little bit wider on exit than I somehow he's held that very good. Bottoming out, however, on the curb, exiting turn 7. That may hurt him. Using the curb, exiting turn 9, turn 10, turn 11 coming up here. How much pace does he hold? Oh, and he's invalidated, and he was quicker by 3.5, nearly 4/10. Oh, he's going to be wishing he had that one back, but he still has 20 seconds here to get the car even slightly recharged. Does he choose to stay out and try another lap? I would hope so. 15 seconds remaining here. Does Macho start another? Oh, that's surely going to be a this and next invalidation. Yes, it is. Had he just kept the car within track limits exiting the final corner, he would have had the opportunity to start this next lap, and that is not the case. The Ferrari of Gonzalez has bit the dust, much to where Felipe Massa went off after being hit by the spring up top the hill exiting turn 4. Unfortunate for Macho, that lap isn't going to be enough. Mackie is a 10th quicker through Sector 2. Through Sector 2, exiting the final corner. To the line goes Mackie, and it's pole position. 1:14.935, the first of the drivers to enter the 1:14's Funky Breezy now. A 5-place grid penalty for the collision with King Julian, as Caesar's retired as well. King Julian, where is he gone? He doesn't have any noticeable damage, but there was certainly a collision involved, and that's why the game has ushered the penalty. DJ coming out of the final corner. He's a 10th slower through Sector 3. Does he have anything at the line? He will improve to P6. 1:16.483, improves by 2.5 tenths there. Not bad at all. Next around the line is Cynical. He's got a good Sector 2 going, and coming out of the final corner here, across the line he will leapfrog his teammates of that, and then the Alpine of Reimer, P4. We were almost looking at a third-row lockout for the Williams team. Instead, the Frenchman here, a temporarily Frenchman of Reimer, goes 1:15.895 and puts himself P4 in amongst the mix here of some very talented quick drivers. That is your qualifying session. Mackie taking pole position at the death there. Macho was on a very good final attempt and unfortunately invalidated coming out of turn 11, and then invalidated this and next. After exiting turn 14 poorly, but what a qualifying session that was. We may be looking at the first implication of who's to beat here. It is the AlphaTauri of Mackie on pole by 3.5 tenths over Macho. A very solid attempt by the finish. Caesar 3rd, Reimer 4th, Cynical 5th, Gazboy 6th, Flat 7th, DB the Best 8th, Slayer Eyes 9th, 10th is Vibey, 11th is English, 11th is Jeezy, 12th is Jacob, 13th is Zach, 14th George Mazaguy, 15th Gab, Funky Breezy here, 16th, but now picking up a 5-place grid penalty for the collision with King Julian. I'm not rightly sure what's happened there. He'll be starting at the back. Anime Boy, 17th, 18th Gonzalez, and King Julian didn't get an attempt on the board, but Mackie taking pole there at the death. Very convincing speed shown by the AlphaTauri. Let's see if he can translate it to the race. And at that point, I'm going to end the hard recording. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I'm got everything up to grips here. The amount of times that I've actually been in a race trying to commentate, and I've not put myself in a party chat by myself, and I've been commentating actively over the drivers in the race. Something. Very cloudy day to be had so far here in Hungary. That is the medium tires in the garage for Macho, the Finn who qualified P2 in the Red Bull. Could that mean we're going to see the soft tires in play here if that means weather's on the way? I haven't been pinged saying there is, to my knowledge. It doesn't appear that there is. It looks like it might stay dry. I don't know. Keep in mind the schedule coming up here. Hungary this week, Suzuka next week, Brazil, your first 3 rounds, Miami, Imola, Baku, round 4, 5, and 6. Qatar, Vegas in the Netherlands, 7, 8, 9, China, Canada, Belgium, 10, 11, and 12, and the final 3 races, Mexico, France, and Silverstone, rounding out the season. What a schedule that the organizers have given us here. This is brilliant, and I can't wait to be along for the ride. I'm not rightly sure if Formation Lap is on or off. We do have a couple of leagues I do commentate where Formation Lap is off, specifically Division 2 of the Midwest F1 League. I don't necessarily see any reason why we'd have it off here, but for whatever reason, we do tend to have the Formation Lap off during that. Now would be a good time to put together your race predictions. You can press the red Sky Q Sky Glass and Sky Stream button as well. That's the subscribe button. Yeah, please subscribe. That'd be nice. Like, share, subscribe. Have a beer on me, whatever you want. As it looks here, Formation Lap is on, and Formation Lap is now underway. Let's see the tire strategies chosen here. So what we have here is a good mix between the softs and the mediums. Wait, did you see Macho right there? I think, did Macho believe that the Formation Lap was not on because he is racing Mackie here? This is not the beginning of the race, and I think he's finally realized that. that was something. Anyway, so Mackie and Macho, the top 2 drivers in the grid here, choosing the soft tires. The rest of the top 5 of Caesar, Reimer, and Cynical choosing the mediums. Gazboy the softs, DB the Best the softs, the Aston Martin and Vibey on the softs as well, Jacob the softs, and Gonzalez and Funky Breezy all on the softs. Everybody else pretty much on the medium tires, only 2 starting in the hards, that being Zach in the McLaren, King Julian on in the Alfa Romeo, but it's interesting. If we're at the... What? Okay. Well, Mackie and Macho have been disqualified from the session. They will now line up on the grid next to each other. I believe was their contact there between the Red Bull and the AlphaTauri there somewhere in the Formation Lap. Now, that does set them to the grid. It also means those tires will get quite cold. Lap 15 to 17 for the soft to the mediums. Lap 17 to 23. Medium to hard here. If we're seeing this many drivers on different compounds, it's going to tell me we're most likely going to be okay on weather. If we knew there was going to be rain on the way, we'd see guys go to the softs initially. There's not enough drivers on the softs, really, to convince me that we are going to have weather today. So I think we're going to be in for a dry one. If you know differently, you can feel free to ping me when you get a chance. But for the time being, I'm going to believe that it's dry. The grid forming up here for the first round of this Monkey Mafia eSports season. It's been a long time since I commentated a Monkey Mafia eSports race. What I will say is this: the racing quality of this league is second to none, and anyways, what am I looking at here? Okay, here we go. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and eventually 5 for the first round of the season, and they are off. Now, who gets away better? Caesar's gotten away well. He'll look to get around the left side here of Macho. He'll do just that. Mackie has gotten away very much the better of the three here as they make their way down into the first corner. Caesar is looking like he's going to clear the Red Bull. There's contact made there. Macho is going to slide, and he's going to lose a couple of positions in the process. That'll promote Reimer to second. That'll keep Caesar third, and we have now a bit of a conundrum off of the back. George Mazda guy's gone round. The Ferrari of Gab. The Aston Martin's gone off. Anime Boy, I believe, has had a mishap as well. The Alfa Romeo of Funky Breezy's missing the end plate. A lot of front wing being shed here in the opening couple of corners. But Mackie has the lead. Reimer follows close behind. Reimer, being on the medium tires as well, is going to have a lot of work to do here. But what I will say is this. Those soft tires are going to go away quickly. This is a very high degradation track, considering how many both high speed and slow speed corners this is. Not very much in the way of the straight lines here. Definitely a tight and twisty track is the Hungaroring. It's oftentimes compared to Monaco without the barriers, and I do believe just that. But for the time being, Reimer has taken the second spot. Mackie has kept the top spot. Macho had a little bit of the five drivers at the back having a bit of collisions there on the opening lap. The track stays green as Mackie leads them down into turn one once more. Looks as if no real threats of overtake coming here. I believe Slayer eyes up a position as well. There goes the McLaren of Jacob trying to have a look to the inside of DB DeBest. Not quite, but he's going to fill in the slipstream here as they make their way down in towards turn three. Is he going to have the opportunity here? No, not quite. I think initially he had the room. He didn't quite get out of turn one well enough to make something happen as the procession makes their way out of turn three and up the hill towards turn four. There you go, once again, lap 15 to 17 for the soft to mediums, lap 17 to 23 for medium to hard. Now, if Macho can regroup here, he'll have an opportunity to get around Caesar. I do believe that the Red Bull is the quicker of the two drivers for the time being. Whether it stays that way or not, we'll have to wait and see. There's a little bit of connection issues, it looks. As far as I know, the stream is still going well. If you do find that the stream has crapped out for not enough internet, do let me know. But for the time being, I'm assuming everything's okay. DB DeBest trying to find something to the outside of Jeezy here as they make their way into here on this lap. Most likely coming out of that first corner. Let's see if it does activate. No, it does not. So we're going to have to wait till next time. Most likely for any DRS. DB DeBest has gotten underneath Jeezy there. And now the McLaren of Jacob wanted to the inside as well. Didn't quite have the real estate to make it happen. But that Mercedes looks to be in a tight spot at the moment. So things have slightly calmed down here. Not necessarily calm, but what I will say is this. This track is very difficult to overtake on. We're not going to see a lot of moves through the second and third sector. Maybe the third sector. The second sector, definitely not. So we do have a second to regroup here. Currently, King Julian up 5 spots. The Aston Martin of Vaby down 9 after his conundrum on the opening lap and having to pit. Unfortunate for him. DB DeBest as they make their way out of turn 11 here. He's got the slipstream on Slayer Eyes. Not quite close enough to make anything happen yet. I will say this. Those skies do look very gray to me. If that rain starts a-falling, we're going to be in for one here. But for the time being, I have not been told that there's any sort of weather on the way, as DB DeBest getting around Slayer Eyes there. Slightly unorthodox part of the track to do it, as I didn't even see that it was happening. So very nicely done. We do have now Caesar around the outside of Reimer here. Oh, that was contact to Reimer. Somehow the Alpine held on there. But as Caesar wanted to go around the outside, Reimer may have either outbraked himself or something as Slayer Eyes has gone off. That's towards the inside of turn 1. Maybe as he had a bit too much oversteer on the way out. Thankfully, it doesn't appear that he's hit anything, and the track stays green. We do now have Macho and Reimer very close here. Macho's going to have to send it around the outside. He's not going to have it that time. Very good battling here amongst the top 5. The Williams and P6 of Gazboy not necessarily joining the battles here quite. Although, I tell you what, now he is. Macho getting down the inside of Reimer there through turn 8. Brilliant part of the track to do that. I didn't expect that one. Sorry, I'm just going to open up the stream here temporarily. I do see a lot of lagging about going. As far as the drivers on track are concerned, I'm just going to open the stream and hope that everything's going okay. Well, it appears that it is, so I'm gonna assume we're all right here. So Mackie has a 5-second advantage over Caesar now for the top spot. Mackie got away well off the start, and he hasn't looked back since. He's been absolutely flying so far as we begin the 5th lap of the Grand Prix. We got the pair of the Williams drivers here within a couple of tenths of each other. Reimer definitely under pressure, but he's going to be looking to pressure Macho as they make their way in towards turn 3, but Macho is definitely much closer here to Caesar. I'm wondering if Reimer perhaps has invisible damage on that left side that we saw with Macho getting the spot. He had tried to go around the outside. And Reimer kind of went into the back right tire of the Red Bull, I think. So maybe is there damage there to be had. Very cloudy day still here in Hungary. No rain quite yet, but I wouldn't hold your breath. It does look as if the skies could open up here if they wanted to. Four and a half tenths here for Cynical, trying to get up to Reimer here. Reimer has slightly fallen behind Macho. Macho is well to Caesar, but with the aid of DRS coming up here, we'll see that battle get closed up once more here. The Haas of Flat making his way at the back of the procession here. We'll have to wait and see if anybody tries to make anything into the first corner. DRS is going to be activated here. Reimer's the closest battle on the way into turn 1. No, not quite. He's not going to have the room this time. Have to wait and see if Cynical can try to take advantage. Remember, if tire strategies are your bag here, we're looking now as... it looks as if we've got the Alfa Romeo Funky Breezy off the back, and the safety car is out. Yes, he is... Well, I hate when the game deploys safety cars like this, but that is absolutely the case. Funky Breezy's lost the car coming out of turn 9. And he's lost the front wing. The front wing itself is well off track. It's in the grass. In between the racing surface and the Armco barrier, not even close to any sort of racing line, and the safety car is on track. Very lame safety car, has to be said, but they've deployed it nonetheless. So that has now negated any sort of advantage that Mackie had, although what I will say is that's going to open up the tire strategy for those on the softs. That is really going to allow some of these guys who started on the quicker compound. I was just about to say, because we were looking at Gazboy in the Williams there. The gap to his teammate just a couple of laps ago was about 0.6 of seconds. It was almost in excess of a second and a half. So that was telling me that those soft tires were on their way out. And let's see, Mackie is going to come in here. That we pretty much expected. It looks like Caesar's on his way in. That's a little bold. Reimer's going to stay out here. He's in the medium tires. So Caesar comes in, Macho comes in, that much we... Oh, look at Macho! He tried to hang it around the outside. He wanted it. He didn't get it, but a very good attempt. And what do we have going on here? It's going to be medium tires for the first Red Bull. The second Red Bull of DB the Best, the double stack in play. Hard tires for him. Not a bad executed double stack there, has to be said. Hard tires going on for Jacob. So Reimer and Cynical stay out here. Both of them started on the mediums. King Julian started on the hards. He stayed out as well. I thought it was going to be a little bit early for some of these guys to pit, especially those on the medium tires. I'm looking at Macho in particular. Came in, I believe he started on the mediums as well. And early stop for them. Well, the safety car on track here. Assuming it's going to take a couple of laps to get ourselves situated. So Reimer will have the lead of the Grand Prix here with his Alpine. I'm pretty sure, at least for the most part, that himself and Cynical pretty even on pace. I think it was really more or less Cynical that seemed to be at a slightly more disadvantage behind to Reimer. I think Reimer had better pace, although a little bit of tangling going on there, and King Julian on his way in. That is a late decision from King Julian. I wonder what the choice is here. He's gone. He hasn't stopped yet. He's gone from the hard tires he started the race on. What does he decide to do? Oh, it's going to go to the mediums. Okay, so interesting choice there. That is a bold one. He'll come out about P15. That doesn't really make any sense. I think if I was King Julian, I would have stayed out a little bit more, but he's decided to come in. And again, there's a reason that I don't race and these guys do, is because they know more than I do. At least in theory. I mean, you never know, but either way. So it looks as if probably going to have the safety car in at the end of this lap. That'll start us racing again on lap 9. Reimer and Cynical, who started the race in the medium tires, they've stayed out. Everybody else, barring George Mazda guy, probably Gab. Yeah, I think George Mazda guy and Gab are the only two drivers who haven't come in just because they've already had to pit. Mazda guy, what's interesting with him is I think he started the race on those medium tires, so he hasn't chosen to come in. Gab had to pit after the first lap, so I'm assuming that's why he's on those either first lap or kind of after that. But yeah, he hasn't had to pit either way. Still have not received the message that the safety car is in at the end of this lap. I think we're just waiting for the Alfa Romeo Funky Breezy. And speaking of Alfa Romeos, we saw King Julian there, currently residing P15. He was third. He started the race on the hard tires. So naturally, and the safety car is going to come in. That is that's a very late decision there by the safety car to come in this lap. He's exiting turn 13 now, in towards turn 14. Reimer's going to lead the field back to green here on his start of the race medium tires here. Green flag in the air as they make their way down towards the first corner. Cynical, I don't think, was ready for that one either. He's about 0.6 of a second behind Reimer there as they make their way into the first corner. Macho, about 0.3 of a second behind Caesar as they make their way out of the first corner. Does Macho have anything here for the Mercedes? No, not quite. I think he's definitely looking for it. Oh, that could be the opening. No, I think that would have been really pushing one there. But Macho is hungry. You can see him. He is looking for this overtake. Caesar's going to have to defend like a lion here. And for the time being, I would expect Macho to make this maneuver any minute now. But here's Mackie, the driver who started on pole, led every lap of the race until the safety car. He is in third for the time being on the fresh mediums. The two drivers ahead of him on used mediums, of which they started the race on. The top 5 drivers currently within a second and a half of each other here. A lot of battling going on towards the back as well. We've got a lot of drivers within mere tenths of each other here, but let's see if Macho tries to overtake Caesar here into turn 13. Remember, Macho is pretty much even on pace with that of Mackie, but after the start of the Grand Prix slipping down the positions, he hasn't gotten the opportunity to strike back. But as they exit the final corner, lap 10 of the Grand Prix underway, Reimer switches back. Caesar's going to look to the inside here of Mackie as they make their way into the first corner. Macho, does he send it down to the inside? Yes, he does, and that is collected. Both the Mercedes and Mackie, and something there. That was a really ballsy move from Macho, and I think there goes Caesar down to the inside. Lots of contact being made there. Macho still down to the inside, still contact being made. Gazboy having to look on and hope that nothing happens. I would think Mackie is not going to be happy with that one. He got sent down into the corner. Macho wanted to make it 3 abreast on the inside. They ran out of room quickly. Macho has the 3rd spot. Mackie down to P5. Gazboy down to P7 there as he's gone off track. Flat has overtaken him. He is now P6. And Reimer has avoided the mayhem and is now 2.5 seconds ahead of Cynical there, but I'm assuming, while it has to be said, Macho, I appreciate his ability to try to drive in an aggressive manner, but there comes a point where it's too much, and I think he might be looking at a steward report after the race. An incredible dive down into turn 1 it was. And you could take the term dive either which way. I appreciate a good dive when it goes off well, but you go 3 wide into the corner and there wasn't much gap to be had there. And we'll have to wait and see. DRS activated. They won't get it this time, as naturally there's only the one detection zone. Macho down to the inside. He'll have Cynical here. And yes, he will. So Macho up to second now. Mackie, P5 at the moment. He's going to be looking to strike back here. Not exactly at halfway just yet, but we're getting closer. As we have... Oh, that's a couple of cars there. Going through turn 1, 2 Italian-powered cars, Funky Breezy and Gab, 2 drivers which haven't had a very good beginning to the Grand Prix, and unfortunately it's not going any better. King Julian now has stopped. This is his 3rd stop of the Grand Prix here. No, sorry, 2nd stop. That's right. He started on the hards. He went to the mediums. He's now put on an additional set of medium tires. I do not know what happened with King Julian. Perhaps did he have wing damage, and that could be the case. But otherwise, the rest of the grid snakes their way through Sector 2 and into Sector 3. Macho now has a 7.5 of a gap back to Reimer here for the top spot. Cynical is behind the top 2 by a second here. He's going to be under pressure from Caesar and Mackie in just a couple of moments' time as they make their way through turn 13. Macho here, if he gets a good exit of the final corner. DRS activated. I think he's going to have well within its rights to look for this one here. He's on fresher tires as well. He'll go down to the inside, and Macho takes the top spot. And now Caesar and Mackie side by side. Mackie down the inside. Oh, contact to the back end of the AlphaTauri there. Caesar losing 3 spots in just the corner. Lost it to Mackie. Flat made his way to the inside, and Cynical gets in there as well. -3 for Caesar in the span of 1 corner. DB DeBest and Gazboy side by side through turn 3. DB DeBest having to kind of let off there and allow Gazboy to keep the inside. That would have been a ridiculous one to try to negotiate. You think turn 4 is bad. Turn 3 is not much better. And I think maybe will we have the 2nd sector to kind of calm down here again. Not a lot of overtakes are made here through the 2nd sector. This is the chance for the drivers to kind of catch their breath and regroup. The 1st and 3rd sectors are definitely enough to provide some racing here. Again, and I say this every time I go to a league which visits this track, I'm not a fan of this circuit in real life. In virtual, this is one of the best I commentate on. Gazboy down to the inside of Caesar. Into turn 12, is he going to be able to hold on? No, Caesar had a better acceleration on the outside, and now the Red Bull of DB DeBest down to the inside as they make their way through 13. The McLaren of Jacob in pursuit, but Gazboy, in trying to overtake the Mercedes, loses the spot to the Red Bull as well. Not ideal. Mackie down to the inside of Reimer. He'll get that one easily, as Reimer's 12-lap-old mediums are not going to compete with those around him on the 6-lap-old mediums. Bit of a lockup there for Mackie as they make their way out of turn 1, and now it's going to be an open fight between the two who started atop the grid next to each other and now will fight once again. It's a 1.5 difference here, but Mackie, after taking pole, Macho held it for a good period of that qualifying session. Both of them quite even on pace. There's a 0.3 of a second difference between the two in qualifying. I would assume we're going to get ourselves a dogfight here shortly, but for the time being, Macho's actually put another ½ second back to Mackie. I think something may have happened with that AlphaTauri. He's lost a good bit of time there. As they make their way through Sector 2, we'll have a look at... well, I tell you what, there's a lot of battles to go along with here. Every driver on the grid within a couple of tenths of each other. Funky Breezy spinning out there on the way into turn 5. Slightly odd place to have a spin, but the track stays green otherwise. Into 13 they go. Reimer's going to have to think about pitting here. No, he doesn't. He's going to have to fend off DJE flat here, but I think that one is going to be in vain for Reimer. He's going to be losing this spot rather soon, and I'm a little surprised at how much Macho's been able to get out ahead, as Caesar having to defend from DB DeBest here. Oh, that's contact! Yes, and DB DeBest looked to go down the inside. That allowed him, I wouldn't say allowed him, but forced the Mercedes into a bad spot there, which hit the Williams, and Cynical dives to the inside now, and will get that spot. Well, into the first corner there, DB DeBest thought he had it to the inside. He either didn't commit or he backed out too late, and that he hit Caesar on the right-hand side of the car, which sent him into the right side of the Williams of Cynical. A lot of conundrums going along here, that's for sure. So again, it's one of those tracks where we don't see many overtakes on, so you really have to work for the ones you do get, and that's what we're seeing here. Well, Caesar in a Williams sandwich at the moment. 0.3 of a second behind Cynical. Gasboy 0.3 of a second behind Caesar. Macho has now a 2.5 second advantage over Mackie for the top spot. Making their way out of turn 14, getting closer to about halfway through the Grand Prix. I believe lap 18 is that halfway mark. Here goes Caesar down to the inside on Cynical. And Gasboy nearly getting into the back of his teammate there. He may lose position to DB DeBest. No, not quite. But in the maneuver being made for Caesar onto Cynical, Cynical kind of backed off there, and Gasboy had to check up big time. He went to the outside of the circuit and nearly lost a spot to the Red Bull as well. And Cynical, a 3-second time penalty. Now that was coming out of turn 4, the first of the time penalties to be had today. Surprised it took this long, to be honest. The track limit's very unforgiving. That was a big save there from Cynical. That car was very much in a tough spot there, but he managed to get back to composure. DJ now outside. And, well, where one happens, another happens after that shortly as Jacob picks up his 3 seconds. DJ, oh, and I think he's missed out on DRS by about 1,000th of a second there. As P. Gonzalez picking one up now. No DRS for the Haas here. Cynical, no, it is Cynical on the way in here. Making his way from what I would assume to be the medium to the hards. We're going to see Reimer doing that in a couple of laps' time, I believe. We have DB DeBest behind the other Williams of Gasboy here by about 0.2 of a second. He'll look down to the inside. Does he get it? Oh, I tell you what. Yes, he does. Very nicely done, despite being on the hard tires as well. They had quite a bit of grip to him. Has to be said, very nicely done for the Red Bull. Gasboy still within a couple of tenths here. Looks as if he's got enough pace to try to claw the position back. He's going to have to wait until after they get DRS to probably make that happen. Making their way through Sector 2 now. Closest battle on track appears to be that of George Mazdaguy back to Gab, and DJ has left the session. Oh, I'm hoping that's just a hidden error and not my connection. I don't know. I'm hoping not. Let's see if the Red Bull of DB DeBest here within the slipstream of Caesar. King Julian, 3 seconds, a penalty for him. DB DeBest looks to the outside of Caesar, and for the 5th spot, yes, he does. He'll get that one, unless Caesar can outbrake him. Oh, I tell you what, Caesar's got a fair shot here to the inside, and, well, the Red Bull of DB DeBest is going to have the DRS exiting turn 1 as you get that double dose of DRS with the one detection zone, meaning you get it twice, whether you're ahead or behind the driver exiting turn 1. And that's why DB DeBest had it that time. Jacob within a couple of tenths here of Jeezy. This is for the 8th spot. Despite Jacob having the 3-second penalty, there's a lot of race left to decide if that actually means something or not. For the time being, what I will say is a lot of these drivers still within a couple of seconds of each other, a couple of tenths to about a second and a half of each other here, which is great to see, has to be said. Two and a half tenths of a second there for Gasboy. We're going to go along with Slayer Eyes for the time being. Does he try to look to the inside of Jacob here? No, not quite. Reimer now, 0.2 of a second, and Reimer's on the way in, and we have a yellow flag. It's the Mercedes of Caesar. Has gone around, in the middle of the circuit, and nearly collects Anime in the process. And Caesar, yeah, a 5-second penalty with the collision with Anime Boy. And, well, I'm a little surprised that wasn't a much larger accident. Only just clipped the side of the AlphaTauri. I'm hoping that Anime Boy does not have any wing damage, and it doesn't appear that he does. Into the corner they go. Slayer Eyes watching the McLaren and the Aston Martin battle ahead. They were contact with each other not long ago. It looks like they've calmed down for the time being. Want to take this opportunity to thank you for allowing us into your homes and onto your phones today, as we do have the Ferrari of P. Gonzalez slightly slower entering the pit lane here. The Aston Martin of Baby taking up a 3-second penalty. It looks as if P. Gonzalez will retire in the pit lane. Unfortunate for him. Just rejoined the session. Oh, goodness me. Well, you saw that. That was a little bit of a something. Why is that car go... Oh, goodness me. What is happening now? This is really odd. So, anyways, Macho leads the grid here by about 1.5 seconds over Mackie. Gazboy 10 seconds behind. He's going to be under pressure from DB to Best here as they make their way down the pit straight. I don't really think the Red Bull's close enough yet. Jeezy will have a move on flat here if he can able to get down to the inside. Oh, he really looks for it. Yes, he does. Oh, no, he doesn't. The car's gone around, and I think maybe contact there with both the Haas and the Aston Martin behind as well, and the Aston Martin is missing a hefty bit of his front wing. That's going to require a pit stop. He's going to lose position to Jacob as well as he looks down to the inside through 2. A lot of glitching about going along here. I'm hoping that that's not some sort of terminal issue on my side, although it absolutely is. I'm a bit shocked that my internet is able to live stream and watch the race. I'm gonna be honest, but hey, towards the end of the month, good quality live streams are just gonna be the norm, I think. We'll have to wait and see and hope that happens. DJE flat here making his way to Jeezy as Slayer Eyes getting down to the inside of both the Aston Martin and the McLaren there. And I think that was due to the Aston Martin having wing damage, but now Jacob has to try to send it around the outside. Gab, a 3-second time penalty for him. His teammate actually collides with his... Zach collides with his teammate of Jacob there through turn 13. That one could have gone poorly. Instead, both McLaren stay on track. Anime Boy now down to the inside of Zach for the 8th spot here. Does he have it? Yes, he does. Ahead, DJ Flat and Jeezy side by side, and the Haas of Flat is going to get that 5th spot. Very nicely done. Anime Boy now looking to the inside of Jacob. Jacob on the 3-second time penalty, but still not giving up here. Anime's going to have to do something. He'll switch to the right side now. Up the hill through turn 4. Hopefully they have sorted that one out, and yes, they have. It would have been catastrophic if they didn't. But it looks as if all of that is sorted. In the meantime, we have had Reimer pit. Has Reimer gone medium? I believe he has. Whoa, no, he has stopped twice. Okay, that was, alright, I think, yeah, did he start on the hards? I think he may have. No, he started on the softs, okay. So he started on the softs, went to the mediums, he's gone to an additional set of the mediums here. About to say, why would he have gone the mediums twice in a row? You know you have to stop for a different compound of tires. I mean, I've seen drivers try to take advantage of strategy before, as Jeezy into the pit lane now, I believe. Well, he's on the hard, so this is an interesting stop for him. It's for the medium tires here for the Mercedes. It's interesting. I would have thought that the hards would go longer than 14 laps, as the pair of the McLarens now having 3-second penalties, as well as George Mazda guy picking one up as well. 7 drivers now have time penalties to their name. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead, which was outside of 2 seconds for the better part of 8 laps, is now down to about 1.5 seconds. These 2 drivers, who, now it was a miscommunication, I think, on Macho, who, on the formation lap, just started gunning it into the first corner, as if the race had really started. And, well, somewhere along the formation lap, those 2 cars had come together and had a collision. And that's why the 2 cars were disqualified. And not long ago, we saw Macho dive to the inside of Mackie, and I want to say of Caesar for that top spot. Or for the time it was the 2nd spot, because Reimer had the top spot for that time being. As Gazboy in the pit lane here on the medium tires, I believe 15-lap-old mediums for him. That's about what I expected to see out of the medium tires. What does he choose to do here? It's going to be another set of mediums. Down into the first corner they go. Jacob only a couple of tenths behind Anime Boy, as it looks as if Cynical down to the inside of Slayerized. That being for the 7th spot. Cynical does have a 3-second penalty to his name, so that'll allow Slayerized to get at least 2 spots here if the result holds. DB the Best, a 3-second time penalty for the Red Bull. And you can see he is trying to push the car. That car is struggling, though. And now, the battle for the lead within a second. This is the first time these two drivers have been within a second of each other since, well, I want to say lap, I would say even 15. Oh, but I think Mackie might miss out on DRS here. Here comes the detection zone. How's he looking? No, he's missed it by about a tenth, but both drivers decide to come in here on the 15-lap-old medium tires. What happens now? Oh, this is a very interesting strategy call here. What do they decide to do? It's going to be a front wing change for Macho, and I think, is that another set of medium tires on? Yes, it is. And it looks as if a front wing change as well for Mackie. I did not expect to see a front wing change for the AlphaTauri, but he's made one nonetheless, and both of them now on fresh medium tires. It's even Stevens between the both of them. That's going to allow DB the Best to have the lead. As Jeezy setting the fastest lap on his mediums, he'll get ahead of Jacob there in the pit lane. Well, I don't know why exactly those drivers needed to pit for front wing changes, but they've done just that. We've got Zach's gone to the softs. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen more drivers go to the soft tires here. Reimer, fastest lap for him. 3-second penalty for DB the Best, flat about 3.4 behind. Anime Boy and Cynical battling for the 3rd spot here. I would assume both Flat and Anime are going to have to stop. 16-lap-old medium tires, the both of them. Cynical now, I think he realizes that the AlphaTauri will need to pit. He's not going to have to try exceptionally hard to get around the AlphaTauri here. Oh, but he stays out another lap. Okay, so that means Cynical's going to have to do it on track then with DRS, and he's got 2 opportunities to do just that coming up here shortly. Macho now in position as well. Remember, Macho and Mackie battling it out for the lead. Here goes Macho, trying to send it into the first corner again. Does he get Cynical? He just might, and he'll have DRS as well. Anime Boy lost position there, and Macho, a double overtake into the first corner. Macho really wanted it, and he got just that. Mackie will get 5th. He won't get round Cynical. Anime Boy, the teammate of Mackie, had a bit of a slide there coming out of the first corner. Go Reimer, I tell you what. Reimer's in a bit of a tough spot here. He tried to last as long as he could on the medium tires, and he had pit. He's actually stopped a 2nd time for an additional set of medium tires, which is slightly odd to me, but he's done just that. He had started on the softs, went to the mediums after the first safety car. Perhaps it was too early of a stop, and that's why he's had to come in. And now we have a yellow flag. It's George Mazda guy who spun coming out of the first corner. Thankfully, no front wing is shed, so that'll, keep the safety car in the pit lane. The safety car, which we did have, was because of the Alfa Romeo of, I believe it was Funky Breezy, who had lost the front wing coming through turn 9. As Macho getting around, well, Flat's in the pit lane there. Mackie down to the inside of Cynical. He'll get the 3rd spot. Flat on the way in. I'm assuming the softs for him. Yes, it is. Lots of 3-second penalties on the board. 9 drivers, half the grid, have a 3-second penalty to their name. Next time by will be 10 laps to go. So we have now King Julian looking forward on Caesar here around the outside. Caesar's had himself a bit of a rough day. He was in position for a great result, and I'm afraid a spin coming out of turn 13 really took away any good result he was bound to have. Yeah, AlphaTauri's going to need to stop, and unfortunately, I think The overcut is not necessarily going to work in the favor of the AlphaTauri, but he's choosing to stay out, which is bold. Unless does he think another safety car is in play? That could very well be the case. Does he believe another safety car could happen here? Well, what he has to believe is Gazboy down to the inside and getting that 5th spot. And Anime, it has to be said, for the length of time he's been on the medium tires here, he's doing quite well. Do have Caesar about 6.5 tenths of a second behind Reimer here. Reimer on the medium tires. Remember, he had to stop a second time. King Julian the fastest lap of the race so far. 10 laps to go. As the top two, the pair of the Red Bull drivers, make their way. As Anime Boy, a 3-second time penalty to him. Well, the pair of the Red Bull drivers making their way through turn 10 now. Matter of fact, Mackie has fallen well behind of the Red Bull of Macho. It's now looking like it's going to be a Red Bull 1-2 if everything stays okay. Oh, I think something happened with Macho there. Perhaps did he get into the back of his teammate? I couldn't quite tell. His connection appears to be not the best as Caesar picks up a 3-second penalty. It's either his connection or mine. I think it might be his, but I could be wrong. Out of the final corner they go. The two Red Bulls side by side. Mackie almost within a second here. Down the pit straight they go. Macho does get ahead of his teammates. Though remember, Macho may be looking at steward reports later on. He's been a very quick driver today, but he's also been very, very ballsy. Too much so sometimes. And I think that may be part of the problem, as Mackie trying to find the outside of DB DeBest here, and he'll do just that. Very nicely done for the AlphaTauri. And now has the ability to get back to Macho here. We do have DJ about half a second behind Jeezy for the for the 6th spot. Not the top spot. I could have been more wrong, but yeah. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead. Less than a second now. That was about the gap between these two before they decided to come into the pit lane, and Macho just got away better on the fresh tires. And now do we see Mackie, who started on pole. Goodness me, I do not know what's happening. This game is so laggy at the moment, it doesn't actually make sense. Well, what I do know is DRS activated for the AlphaTauri here. 5 tenths of a second in closing. Does he try to look for the inside? No, not quite. I think the Red Bull ahead side. And he'll have that one. Well, not quite. Maybe do we see Jeezy strike back here? I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't appear that we will. Well, I do sincerely apologize for the amount of lag that you are seeing on your screen here. I do not know why. We had a pretty flawless first bit of the race, and since then, it's not gone too well, has to be said. I do not know why we're looking at this much. As far as I know, the stream itself is not facing any difficulties. Yeah, I mean, the quality isn't the best, but, I mean, it's there. I do not know. Coming up on 5 laps to go here in just a little bit. The grid's slightly more spread out than it was before. About a second separating Jacob from the back of the Aston Martin here for the 8th spot. On the way into turn 1, let's see who gets the better exit. I think it's pretty even for the time being, as Mazda Guy, the first driver of the day to pick up 2 3-second time penalties. The battle for the lead once again within a second here, but I think this is where Macho is kind of excelling, is through the second sector. We thought Mackie was doing even better in the qualifying session through the slow speed sector. That's not actually, as it turns out, quite the case. Jacob now about 6.5 tenths. Well, I want to go along with it, but this is going to be one of the first times that we see Mackie within DRS range of Macho here. DRS activated, down the pit straight they go into the first corner. Next time by will be 5 laps to go. We'll check back with that in a minute. In the meantime, Slayer Eyes on the soft tires trying to find something to Zach here. Zach, I think, 7-lap-old softs. Those tires are going to be going away from him quite quickly here. Slayer Eyes going to look down to the inside. We have a yellow flag coming out of... I thought it was coming out of turn 1. It was. Whatever the problem was has sorted itself out quite quickly, and Funky Breezy's off, and the safety car on track. And Funky Breezy has gone off, exiting turn 11, and now, well, not only now at this point do the 3-second penalties really come into play, but are we going to look at tire strategy now? Does Macho and Mackie decide to come in here and be even on the soft tires? This is a massive dilemma for the Red Bull of Macho here, because whatever decision he decides to do, that's where Mackie's going to come into play, and I think into the pit lane goes the Red Bull. Mackie, does he come in? Yes, he does. Funky Breezy, unfortunate for him. It's been a really rough day all around. 5 laps to go now. Safety car in. The Red Bull takes the softs. I'm assuming Mackie will take the softs as well. Remember, these two drivers both started the race on the soft compound, and it looks as if the majority of the drivers behind will also be pitting here. As a matter of fact, almost all of them are. The only driver not to is... Hang on, is that Reimer? No, it's not Reimer. Who else is it? Well, it's George Mazda guy here unlapping himself. So Macho now, the top spot, as he was. Mackie second. Jacob, I believe, has stayed out here. Yes, he has. Jacob has stayed out. DB the best in 4th. Cynical pits for the mediums. That's a little odd. Even more odd, the Williams of Gazboy takes the hards. Yeah, that one I'm assuming wasn't on purpose. I'm hoping not. 4 laps to go, next time by. Well, Mackie's going to have a bit of an opportunity here. Not to necessarily get some payback, but to kind of get back to the top of the grid, which he hasn't had that opportunity since around the first safety car coming in. And now, I assume the safety car is not going to stay out on track much longer. This is going to be a massive, the safety car procession here. Is he going to be able to get away well? Now, this is where the safety car came in last time. No, it stays out. So we will have 3 laps of racing when the safety car comes in inevitably next time by. 3 laps. Oh, who is that coming in here? DB the best. Well, there's a slight conundrum here amongst these couple of drivers, but yeah, I'm not really sure what the case is there. Cynical now losing spots. I don't know what's happening. 10 drivers on 3-second time penalties. That is the majority of the field. So if you're one of the drivers not on 3-second penalties, you're going to have yourself a good little result here if you can keep it clean. Because as the safety car bunches everybody up here, a lot of these drivers are going to be losing spots. So Macho in the Red Bull will have 3 laps to try to defend Mackie for the win. Mackie has shown some great pace, although Macho has been dominant in clean air. And I'm assuming maybe Macho might be able... What the hell is my brother talking about downstairs? Anyways, Macho might. Oh, what's this? Oh, and that's interesting. Well, that is... Safety car is in this lap, but what we just saw was Macho back the field up so much that Mackie had actually gotten into the grass. There was nearly contact being made there. So Macho, he's going to have to get away well. What does he decide to do? He'll have 3 laps here. Weaving back and forth, trying to keep some heat in the tires. Despite the connection glitching that we see, that is what's actually happening. Let's see who gets away well. And Macho hits the gas now. Going through turn 14, they'll have 3 laps to go to sort out the Hungarian Grand Prix. No DRS until, well, I don't even think they're going to have it here because of it doesn't go until the lap after. Into the first corner they go behind these 3 drivers, all on 3-second penalties. George Mazdaguy is going to have to get out of the way. Jacob now trying. Oh, and it looks as if the Red Bull of DB DeBest has kind of fallen out of position there. Cynical's going to look to the inside. Is he going to get it on Jacob? Yes, he does. And does DB DeBest try to strike on the McLaren here? Yes, he does. He'll go around the outside. And Jacob, after gaining a position, then loses 2. Up the hill, through turn 4, the Aston Martin of George Mazdaguy still needs to cede to more blue flags here, because he is right in the middle of the proceedings here. Meanwhile, battle for the lead, outside of 0.8 of a second. Mackie needs to put together some good laps here if he wants an opportunity to win the race, and if he's going to do that, he's going to have to do it on track. He's not going to have the 8 of DRS. 2 laps to go this time by. DB DeBest, is he going to look for the inside of Cynical? He's going to have to. No, he chooses not to now. DJ will get down to the inside on Jacob. This will allow a podium for DJ if he can keep his pace going, as both drivers ahead of him have 3-second penalties. 2 laps to go. Macho with the fastest lap. Maki reeling him in here, not quite close enough. The real battle, well, something's gone on there. Oh, goodness gracious! Several drivers losing it out of the final corner. Jeezy and King Julian both not being able to finish the Grand Prix. That was a hell of an impact there, I assume. And, well, if there wasn't only 2 laps to go, we would certainly be looking at a red flag. But the cars have cleared themselves of the circuit. And now, the battle between the top 2, 3-4 of a second here at most. A lap and a half remaining here. No DRS. Remember, they're not going to have it. Even if it's going to be activated next time by, they will not get it, considering it's only the 1 activation zone, or the 1 detection zone, for both DRSs. So, yeah, Mackie's going to have to get this one either on sheer pace. Maybe does he have any batteries saved up here? He very well could. DB DeBest there trying. Aston Martin has picked up an additional 3-second time penalty, 0.4 of a second between the top 2. How heavily does Macho defend as they go down the pit straight? The final lap of the Grand Prix about to be underway here. It's 0.5 of a second. On the loud pedal now is Mackie. ERS battery being used. Down the pit straight they go, and Macho has a good advantage as they make their way into turn 1 now. They won't have DRS. As they make their way down towards turn 2, I think Mackie may have missed his opportunity. But some of these drivers behind may not have. DB DeBest still 0.2 of a second and closing on Cynical here, trying for the 3rd spot, which I believe they'll both lose, but let's not tell them that. The Aston Martin trying to find the outside of Anime Boy here. Oh, and the McLaren of Jacob's gone around. Oh, and Jacob has DNF. Several cars in an incident there. 4 have gone around. Reimer, Caesar, Mazdaguy's gotten away okay somehow. Front wing littering the circuit, and 4 drivers DNF in the span of just under a lap. Unbelievable. But what we do know is this: as they exit turn 11 in towards turn 12, Mackie has to do something desperate here. Remember, Macho could be looking at steward reports later on if Mackie took offense to the moves into the first corner earlier in the race. But what we do know is this: Macho has the 1 corner to go before penalties applied. He's got some pace to him, this lad, and he will win the Hungarian Grand Prix 0.2 of a second behind his Mackie. A brilliant race it was. Cynical crosses the line next, DB DeBest after, and the Haas of Flat will take the final podium spot after being one of the minority drivers not having a time penalty. Over 10 drivers, half the grid, had time penalties. Zach will get around the Aston Martin there at the line, Slayerized up to 7th. Goodness me. As it looks, I cannot believe the amount of carnage we had there. Anime Boy and Reimer having to, and Caesar as well, all of them having to battle it out with no front wing. Macho, your winner today. Well, remember, Steward Reports, these are the final results prior to Steward Reports coming out here. Macho taking the win, Mackie second, Flat coming home in third, Cynical fourth, DB the best fifth. Good result for the Williams team today, fourth and sixth, as Gazboy taking sixth, Slayerized seventh. Seventh is Zach, idiot. Seventh is Slayerized, eighth is Zach, ninth is the Aston Martin of Vaby, 10th is Gab, 11th is Reimer, 12th Anime Boy, 13th is Caesar. Jacob on back, unfortunately, did not finish the Grand Prix. And, well, if you thought that one was calamity, you're in for another good one next week at the Suzuka International Racing Course. Remember, the results you see here are not final, as Steward Reports are surely going to be replied. But MMR Hotspot, it's been a pleasure joining you along for this one, and we'll see you next week.